Yum dum 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 da da dum da rum bum 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 ba da 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 da. No, not quite that series. But it is Halloween. It is Halloween. Well, not Halloween today as I'm recording this, but hopefully when I upload this, it will be Halloween. And it is because it is the chapter Halloween. Chapter 10. Is it? Yeah, it's gotta be chapter 10. Or did we just do chapter... Yes, chapter 10, Halloween, of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Got an AI background that I did. Kind of see it. There's some pumpkins. It's Halloween at Hogwarts Castle. And because it is Halloween, in chapter 10 years after the deaths of James and Lily Potter and the downfall of Voldemort. 10 years after the downfall of Voldemort. 10 years after Harry's life was turned upside down and he had to go live with the Dursleys. So naturally, because this is the 10-year anniversary of all these things in chapter 10, which another one of those brilliant things that JK did, putting that together, having chapter 10 being 10 years after being the 10-year anniversary for James and Lily's death, for the downfall of Voldemort, and Harry going to live with the Dursleys, and Harry leaving the wizarding world. Now, here, so you would expect that there's going to be lots and lots and lots of talk about it being the 10-year anniversary of Voldemort's downfall and of Harry's parents' deaths. You would think that Harry would recognize his parents and honor and think about his parents on this day. Once in the entire 7-book series. You would think. There should be. But there's not. And we'll get to that. We'll get through the entirety of Halloween with none of... That's one of the reasons this chapter frustrates me. Actually, why every Halloween chapter frustrates me. Because there is never an acknowledgement of this. But it is what it is. And things always happen on Halloween. I don't remember what numerically the other Halloween chapters are. Because we'll find that out when we get to the next book, or when I do some research, or when you go and do your own looking up at the next books. And obviously, Goblet of Fire is not chapter 10 or 14 for Halloween, because it's like 17 or 19 chapters before they even get out or get back into the wizarding world, into Hogwarts. I'm pretty sure it's like the entirety of the first book it takes to get is pre-Hogwarts in Goblet of Fire. That, or at least that amount of chapters. But we are nowhere near there today. A couple days before Halloween, hopefully I can get this uploaded on Halloween, because if you know, I assume you've watched the rest of these, you know I struggle to get through these all in one day, or 1 month, or 1 year, really. But it has been not too long since the last one. We're going to try to get through this today. I'm feeling pretty good. I think we can do it. This is a fun chapter. Lots of things happen, even if we don't get any acknowledgement of the 10th anniversary of James and Lily's death, the 10th anniversary of Voldemort's downfall, and the 10th anniversary of Harry going to live with the Dursleys. So let us begin Chapter 10 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Halloween. Malfoy couldn't believe his eyes. Oh, yes. I need to specify. This is a commentated reading. This is not the clean reading. If you're here looking for the clean reading, if the thumbnail and the title didn't specify, this is commentated reading. So, yeah. You know the drill. That threw me off. I shouldn't have gone into that malarkey. That side. Back onto begin scene. Malfoy couldn't believe his eyes when he saw that Harry and Ron were still at Hogwarts the next day. After meeting Fluffy and the Malfoy failing to show up, tricking them into almost getting caught. Because Malfoy's a bad person. At this point in time, we all know Malfoy gets a great redemption story and was almost a little bit better. Almost a little bit better. That's 7. That's a long ways. Let's see. Malfoy couldn't believe his eyes when he saw that Harry and Ron were still at Hogwarts the next day, looking tired but perfectly cheerful. And indeed, Hermione and Neville were still at Hogwarts, looking terrified, or at least Neville terrified, shaking in his boots. Anyways, indeed, by the next morning, Harry and Ron thought that meeting the three-headed dog had been an excellent adventure, and they were quite keen to have another one. Yes, after meeting Fluffy, the adrenaline rush of nearly getting caught and then meeting Fluffy, yeah, I can understand why they want that rush again. In the meantime, Harry filled Ron in about the package that seemed to have been moved from Gringotts to Hogwarts. The package that was stolen out of Gringotts, or almost stolen, that someone, we won't say who yet, because spoilers, Quirrell, tried to steal it, but Hagrid had already taken it. Because somehow, I wonder, there's, Dumbledore went back in time and told Hagrid to go and take it before it got stolen. Dumbledore, part of hiding it in Gringotts was Dumbledore planning to go back to, if it disappeared or if something ever happened to it, had Dumbledore going back to tell Hagrid to get the stone before it's stolen. Because he pre-plans it, it can all take place. So he pre-plans it so that when he sees the newspaper clipping that somebody tried to rob Gringotts and failed, that he can use a time turner and go back, tell Hagrid to take the package before it's stolen, so that the newspaper clipping can become true. Right? Because that's how Hermione was able to go through her classes, and how Dumbledore was able to get them to save Buckbeak and Sirius, was he pre-planned it, and she pre-planned to go back. But after she'd forgotten to go back to her class, to the divination class, I think it was, or charms. Yeah, it was charms because she missed cheering, the cheering charms, and she could have used cheering charms after she punched Malfoy. Yes, I've read this so many times. But she can't go back in time at that point. If based on that, where because she didn't, because she was discovered to have not done so and she was told she didn't, then she couldn't go back. But because it's pre-planned to go back, she can do so, as long as she remembers to follow through in the future, and then goes back, then it's all... But anyways, that's how Dumbledore told Hagrid to get the stone at that moment. It's because Dumbledore knew it was stolen, or was attempted to be stolen, and then went back in time to tell Hagrid to take it before it's stolen. But after it was stolen, not stolen. Time turns. Anyways, and they spent a lot of time wondering what could possibly need such heavy protection. The title of the book, The Sorcerer's Stone, even though the title of this book is Philosophers. Excuse me. Oof. I got excited on this point. So it's some cultures do compliments to the chefs. I'm doing compliments to the author of the excitement that I feel over reading this and discussing it. That's what it is, right? Not the Pinocchio's Pleasure Land. I'm not going to turn into a donkey. It's either really valuable or really dangerous, said Ron. Mm-hmm. Or both. Or both. Both? Both. But as all they knew for sure about the mysterious package, mysterious object, was that it was about 2 inches long. Just 2 inches long. 2 inches long. No idea how tall or wide. Just 2 inches long. The Philosopher's Stone could be like a skipping stone. That's my new theory. The Philosopher's Stone is the perfect skipping stone, but you don't want to skip it. But it is very tempting to do so. Because I imagine in the process of turning lead and gold, or is it's it's turning lead into gold, but then what was there is a book, there is a scroll, a very long scroll that explains how to make a Philosopher's Stone, the alchemical processes. And it's in a museum, a wizarding museum, it's Hogwarts wizarding, or there because of, but it's all this, or many of the things that J.K. used for research in writing this series. Because she did a lot of research. A lot. Man. So much. Right? Because Nicholas Flamel is a real person from history. And there's so much more. So much. It's... the languages for the spells, which we'll get in this chapter. Back to the chapter. It's about 2 inches long. They didn't have much chance of guessing what it was without much further clues. Neither Neville nor Hermione showed the slightest interest in what lay beneath the dog and the trapdoor. I'm kind of surprised Hermione didn't. And I get that she's kind of terrified of it and doesn't want to get in trouble. Is probably trying to put it out of her mind. But I bet that she's curious enough about everything else. She did enough study on everything else, on Hogwarts history, and on great events of the 20th century, where she read all about Harry. And so a bit of her must be curious as to what is going on. What new secrets does this castle hold? She's got to. I would think. I would if I were her. Hermione was now refusing to speak to Harry and Ron, but she was such a bossy know-it-all that they saw this as an added bonus. All they really wanted now was a way of getting back at Malfoy, and to their great delight, just such a thing arrived in the mail a week later. A week later. So however far early in September we are, or October, I suppose we could still, yeah, we're probably in October, so it can't be, yeah. Oh yeah, because they start school on the 21st of September, right? Or the 1st of September. Either way. Oh, excuse me. Wow. I don't usually talk this much. That's got to be why I'm burping. Swallowing too much air and talking. So here comes the mail. All the owls. As the owls flooded into the great hall, as usual, everyone's attention was caught at once by a long, thin package carried by 6 large screech owls. 6 owls. Movie only shows Hedwig doing so. But there were 6. Wow. What? I want to see that in the TV show that they're making. I want to see that. That kind of attention to detail and telling in the series being told as the book is written. Please. Harry was just as interested as everyone else to see what was in this large parcel. I would be too. And was amazed when the owls soared down and dropped it right in front of him, knocking his bacon to the floor. Not the bacon. Well, I'm sure it just fell right through the floor, down to the house elves, and they're like, "Oh, what a waste of bacon. Let's send up some more. Replace the bacon." They had hardly fluttered out of the way when another owl dropped a letter on top of the parcel. Might have been good to deliver this one first. Though it was pretty close timing, I imagine. He was probably flying around in circles like airplanes do, waiting for the 6 owls to clear the way so he could fly down and deliver. It's like, wait, nope. Don't deliver, don't open the package yet. Oh. Harry ripped open the letter first, which was lucky. Felix, because it said, "Do not open the parcel at the table. It contains your new Nimbus 2000, but I don't want everyone knowing you've got a broomstick, or they'll all want one." Oliver Wood will meet you tonight on the Quidditch field at 7 o'clock for your first training session. At 7 o'clock in October, in the northern latitudes of England, of Scotland. I mean, here in South Central California, 7 o'clock in October is dark. It's night. It's as night as this. Not as night as my face is looking, but as night as the background. At 7 o'clock in October in Scotland. Not in the middle of the day, like it is in the movie. It's past dusk. Past dusk. The sun has set. They can barely see. Unless the stadium's got big lights. Right, because it's not... Yeah, tonight at 7 o'clock. Not tomorrow morning. Tonight. Yeah. Professor M. McGonagall. Maggie Smith. Dame Maggie Smith. Harry had a difficulty hiding his glee as he handed the note to Ron to read. A Nimbus 2000? Ron moaned enviously. I've never even touched one. Yeah, I've never touched a Ferrari. I've never touched a Lamborghini. Actually, I may have. I know I've touched a Viper and a Corvette. And a Bucket T. My uncle's 1927 Corvette, or so he called it. A Ford Bucket T is the 1927 Corvette. I miss my uncle. And I miss that car, too. Oh, man. I lost the car before I lost my uncle. I definitely... I'm going to cry now. Even though my uncle didn't drink, I'm going to drink to my Uncle Bob Bierman. Robert Bierman. Great man. He did prison ministry. Visited prisoners and stuff. In addition to working at General Motors. On the same floor as the president at headquarters. They left the hall quickly, wanting to unwrap the broomstick in private, of course, as instructed before their first class. So it is morning. And I think this will end up being the day before Halloween. I think that's where we're at, actually. We'll find out. But halfway across the entrance hall, they found the way upstairs barred by Crabbe and Goyle. Malfoy seized the package from Harry and felt it. Now, based on them from the movie, yeah, you can just look at the package and know it's a broomstick. Not just feeling it. You can see it from a distance and know it is a broomstick. When Hedwig brings it in, you know it is a broomstick. And so he just opens it in front of everybody. And Oliver Wood's sitting there like... I think the twins are gawking at it too. But... Malfoy seized it, felt it. Or, let's see, yeah. Malfoy seized Harry's package and felt it. That's a broomstick in his pocket, he said, throwing it back to Harry. Oh yeah, but I imagine, based on 6 owls having to bring it in, that it's like more heavily wrapped, either with bubble wrap or in a box. Like in just a long rectangular box. Not just tightly wrapped, obviously looking like a broom. McGonagall must have been more stealthy, or at least in requesting that the Quidditch store, the broomstick store in Diagon Alley, be more stealthy about the package. Or why did she even have it delivered during breakfast? Like, why not have it delayed in the delivery or to deliver it to the common room or to the dorm room even, or even have it delivered to Wood, to Oliver, and have Oliver Wood deliver it to Harry. I like that idea. That's what I would have liked to have seen. This is cool. This is a good interaction, as a good in-your-face as we're about to get to. And Malfoy says, "That's a broomstick," he said, throwing it back to Harry with a mixture of jealousy and spite on his face. "You'll be in for it this time, Potter. First years aren't allowed with them." It's a week after the last time Malfoy tried to get Harry expelled. Surprised it took him so long to try again. And Ron couldn't resist. "It's not any old broomstick," he said. "It's a Nimbus 2000. What did you say you've got at home, Malfoy? A Comet 260? Ron grinned at Harry. "Comets look flashy." "Yeah, they do." Especially as they're hurtling towards the sun and melting. And this trail is their melt. Yep. But they're not in the same league as the Nimbus. "What would you know about it, Weasley? You couldn't afford half the handle. I suppose you and your brothers have to save up twig by twig." Oh, Malfoy. That's a pretty good comeback. Is this... No, I don't... No, it's not the first time that Draco has insulted the Malfoy wealth, or the Weasley wealth, right? He insulted him on the train, too. Yeah. But before Ron could answer, and with his own comeback, Professor Flitwick appeared at Malfoy's elbow. "Pop! Not arguing, I hope, boys," he squeaked. Professor Flitwick, I had the name, Warwick Davies. Yes, such a awesome. So cool. So cool. He's a great actor. Great personality. I like his face, too. "Potter's been a broomstick, Professor," said Malfoy quickly. Oh, sorry, he said it quickly. "Potter's been sent a broomstick, Professor." Right? Because Dumbledore said it calmly. So, whatever. Yes, that's right." Or, I guess since he's squeaking, yes, that's right," said Professor Flitwick, beaming at Harry. "Professor McGonagall told me all about the special circumstances, Potter. And what model is it?" Flitwick is excited about it. He's thrilled, even though he's the head of Ravenclaw and is not going to get a chance to win a game, at least against he has a chance against Hufflepuff, not against, oh, gosh, not Hogwarts, Gryffindor. Man, my brain sometimes this autism thing just really screws with the brain. And then the seizures on top of that, and other needs in order to maintain stability. Like, But anyways, Professor Flitwick is excited about it. Even though he knows he doesn't have a chance of winning against Gryffindor anymore in Quidditch, he is still excited for Harry. 'Cause I wonder if Professor Flitwick played Quidditch in his day. Do you imagine Flitwick playing Quidditch? Young Flitwick playing Quidditch. Oh, I like it. I'm more picturing the kids, his offspring in Willow's offspring. I don't remember the kids' names, the characters. But anyway, I'm kind of picturing those kids flying on the brooms. Those kids were still much younger than 11 in that movie. But were they kids smalls too? I think they were. I need to watch Willow again. Such a good movie. So good. Such a great story and great witch. Oh. Nimbus 2000, sir, said Harry, fighting not to laugh at the look of horror on Malfoy's face. And it's really thanks to Malfoy here that I've got it, he added. Yes, that remember all. Oh. And, it was so funny. Harry and Ron headed upstairs, smothering their laughter better than I am doing so, at Malfoy's obvious rage and confusion. Yep. Well, it's true. Harry doesn't have a Scottish accent. Even though, is Godric's Hollow more towards Scotland? I would imagine Godric's Hollow is up in Scotland rather than down in England proper or in Wales. I mean, certainly not in Ireland, but is it? Yeah. Well, it's true. No, wait, still. Well, it's true. I can't get almost out of it. Well, it's true, Harry chortled as they reached the top of the marble staircase. If he hadn't stolen Neville's Rememberall, I wouldn't be on the team. Yup. So I suppose you think that's a reward for breaking rules? Came an angry voice from just behind them. Hermione was stumping up the stairs, looking disapprovingly at the package in Harry's hand. She'd look at... Well, I shouldn't discuss those kinds of things. They're 11. They are kids. I know the innuendos are there. There are so many innuendos throughout the series. But they are children. And that is no. Disturbingly no. Disgustingly no. I thought you weren't speaking to us, said Harry. Yes, Don't stop now, said Ron. It's doing us so much good. Hermione marched away with her nose in the air. No, you don't want to look up my nose. Harry had a lot of... Harry had a lot of trouble keeping his mind on his lessons that day. That makes sense. I would too, for sure, always, anyways, even without meeting a dog or getting a broom. A three-headed dog a week ago. It would still be on my mind. But Harry's mind kept wandering up to the dormitory where his new broomstick was lying under his bed, or straying off to the Quidditch field where he'd be learning to play that night. That night. Not the middle of the day. He bolted his dinner that evening. Bolted it to what? And how do you eat something that's been bolted down? And why don't they have self-sealing stem bolts? Without noticing what he was eating, and then rushed upstairs with Ron to unwrap the Nimbus 2000 at last. Yet he wanted to unwrap it before his first lesson. So he took it up. So I guess the meeting Malfoy and Flitwick took up enough time that they didn't have enough time once they got up to the dormitories to unwrap it. So he just had to shove it under his bed and then go back down for classes. But we're back to evening. Okay. Wow, Ron sighed as the broomstick rolled onto Harry's bedspread. So dinner takes place 5 or 6, probably, let's say 5:30 or 6. So he's got to be done by 6:30 at the latest. And then runs up, maybe 6:15, done with dinner, runs up to unwrap the broom. And then, wow, Ron sighed as the broomstick rolled onto Harry's bedspread. Even Harry, who knew nothing about the different brooms, thought it looked wonderful. Didn't you thought it looked wonderful when you saw it in Diagon Alley? When you saw the group of boys around Harry's age huddled around a shop window looking at a broomstick. The new Nimbus 2000. Fastest mortal yet. Sleek and shiny, with a mahogany handle. Ooh, good wood. My dad made a canoe that included mahogany. Finished it the day before I was born. Called the canoe Mildred. Now we have a cat named Mildred. It had a long tail of neat, straight twigs and Nimbus 2000 written in gold near the top. Just like it shows in the movie on the table in the dining room as they're all gawking at it because they open it in front of everybody. As 7 o'clock drew near, Harry left the castle and set off in the dusk. Dusk should be after dusk, toward the Quidditch field. He'd never been inside the stadium before. Hundreds of seats were raised in stands around the field so that the spectators were high enough to see what was going on. I don't know if... I think this Quidditch pitch stands were much more like when they're facing the dragon in Goblet of Fire for the egg, rather than the poles, the huge scaffolds that the set of 20 or 30 spots on benches are, with maybe some pathways between a couple of them. They show that in the second year. They fly through the crowd. I think, or is it in... does he fly through the crowd in this one too? I don't remember. In the movies. Anyways. They reminded Harry of the little... Oh, yeah. Up a little bit higher. He'd never been to... They were, the spectator stands to see what was going on. At either end of the field were 3 golden poles with hoops on the end. They reminded Harry of the little plastic sticks Muggle children blew bubbles through, except that they were 50 feet high. Twice as long as my RV, as high. Wow. Too eager to fly again to wait for Wood, Harry mounted his broomstick and kicked off from the ground. What a feeling. He swooped in and out of the goalposts and then sped up and down the field. This is not in the movie. In the dark he's doing this. The Nimbus 2000 turned wherever he wanted at his slightest touch. "Hey, Potter, come down!" Oliver Wood had arrived. He carried a large wooden crate under his arm. Harry landed next to him. "Very nice," said Wood, his eyes glinting. "I see what McGonagall meant. You really are unnatural. I'm just going to teach you the rules this evening. Then you'll be joining team practice 3 times a week." 3 times a week! Wow. Amongst all the other things that he's got to do with homework. What nights? And how do they balance all of that? 3 nights a week for 4 teams. That doesn't work. There's not 12 nights in the week. So at several points in time, 2 teams, actually most of the time, 2 teams are practicing at the same time. Either that, or that's why Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw are so terrible at Quidditch. Because they never practice. Gryffindor 3 nights a week, Slytherin 2 nights a week, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff each 1 night a week. Nah, something's... There's 2 teams practicing at the same time, usually. He opened the crate. Inside were 4 different sized balls. But 2 of them were the same size. "Right," said Wood. "Now, Quidditch is easy enough to understand, even if it's not too easy to play. There are 7 players on each team, each side. 3 of them are called chasers." 3 chasers, Harry repeated, as Wood took out a bright red ball about the size of a soccer ball. American, because this is the Philosopher's Stone, not the Sorcerer's Stone. So it's a soccer ball rather than a football. This ball's called the quaffle. And you could have called it the size of a basketball. That could have maybe worked. It's about the same size. Or a volleyball. That's the same size. Thought we were going to make it through this part of the chapter at least. Let's see if I can make it through before needing to stop to medicate. But I think I'll still make it through the day. The whole chapter in the day. This ball's called the quaffle, said Wood. The chasers throw the quaffle to each other and try to get it through one of the hoops to score a goal. 10 points every time the quaffle goes through one of the hoops. Okay, follow me? The chasers throw the quaffle and put it through the hoops to score, Harry recited. So that's sort of like basketball on broomsticks with 6 hoops, isn't it? What's basketball? It's a game played with a ball about the same size of the quaffle. Yeah. Never mind, said Harry quickly. Now, there's another player on each side who's called the keeper. I'm keeper for Gryffindor. Like soccer or football. I have to fly around our hoops and stop the other team from scoring. Maybe. 3 chasers, 1 keeper, said Harry, who was determined to remember it all. And they play with the quaffle. Okay, got it. So what are they for? He pointed at the 3 balls left inside the box. Not 2 balls and a shield hiding a 3rd ball, as the movie did, which was really cool and made for great merchandise, but not quite. I'll show you now, said Wood. Take this. He handed Harry a small club, a bit like a short baseball bat. Another sport mentioned. That's 3 Muggle sports mentioned. Or is it 4? Are we going to include the bubbles? Is bubble making a sport? Sure, let's count bubble making as a sport. 4 sports mentioned here. Muggle sports. I'm going to show you what the bludgers do, just because of the way... Bubbles counts as a sport because of the way it's discussed. These 2 are the bludgers. He showed Harry 2 identical balls that were not different sized. Jet black and slightly smaller than the red quaffle. With big old dimples in the sides of them, right? They're cool looking balls in the movie. Much easier to grip. Especially for teenager hands. Harry noticed that they seemed to be straining to escape the straps holding them inside the box. Yep. This is this... No. This is not the scene that I first saw. It was Neville trying to fly, not this one. Never mind that distraction. Or is both included within that 10 minutes? I might have actually caught both scenes in that first 10-minute break. Stand back, Wood warned Harry. He bent down and freed one of the bludgers. At once, the black balls rose high into the air, then pelted straight at Harry's face. Harry swung at it with the bat to stop it from breaking his nose, and sent it zigzagging away into the air. It zoomed around their heads, and then shot at Wood, who dived on top of it and managed to pin it to the ground, which that part they at least got right. Harry, in the movie, of course, Harry hits it and it goes sailing up through the outstretched arms of a statue like that. There's probably enough room there. That's crossing swords, so actually, yeah. But anyways, that doesn't happen here. Cool scene, cool shot. But and it makes it seem like, and he's getting like he's able to aim perfectly and would make a great beater or chaser, or a beater for that matter, either way. See, Wood panted, forcing the struggling bludger back into the crate and strapping it down safely. The bludgers rocket around trying to knock players off their brooms. That's why you have 2 beaters on each team. The Weasley twins are ours. It's their job to protect their side from the bludgers and try to knock them toward the other team. So, think you've got all that. 3 chasers. Sorry, I gotta stop. I'll come back in a few minutes. Alright, we're back. Kindle didn't even go and turn itself off. Timeout, the screen off timer thingy. We're quick. We're doing good. 3 chasers tried and score with the quaffle. The keeper guards the goalpost. The beaters keep the bludgers away from their team. Harry reeled off. Very good, said Wood. Have the bludgers ever killed anyone? Harry asked, hoping he sounded offhand. Never at Hogwarts. Implying that people have died elsewhere. That has happened elsewhere. We've had a couple broken jaws, but nothing worse than that. Yet. Now, the last member of the team is the Seeker. That's you. And you don't have to worry about the quaffle or the bludgers. Unless they crack my head open. Yeah, or your arm. They might rip your arm up to pieces. Don't worry. The Weasleys are more than a match for the bludgers. I mean, they're like a pair of human bludgers themselves. Wood reached into the crate and took out the 4th and last ball. Not opening a little shield door thingy. Just reached in, pulled it out. Compared to the quaffle and the bludgers, this ball was tiny, about the size of a large walnut. It was bright gold, and had little fluttering silver wings. This, said Wood, is the golden snitch, and it's the most important ball of the lot. It's very hard to catch, because it's so fast and difficult to see. It's the Seeker's job to catch it. It is so difficult to see that in the movie, Wood is staring off in random directions while Harry's looking right at it. And obviously the CG team put the quaffle or the snitch in later within Harry's eyesight, and Wood is just looking off randomly. But you'd think with how close it was in the movie that Wood would be able to know where it was, would see it. They should have put a ball on a string on a fishing pole and dangled that in front of the actors, so they actually had something to look at. It would have made so much more sense. It would have been less silly. Pointlessly, needlessly a silly thing, I think. But that's the movie, and this is the book. Excuse me, ouch. You've got to weave in and out of the chasers, beaters, bludgers, and quaffle to get it before the other team's seeker. Because whichever team's seeker catches the snitch wins his team an extra 150 points. So they nearly always win. Nearly. That's why seekers get fouled so much. But you don't got to worry about the balls. You just have to worry about the other players fouling you. In other ways, besides with the balls. Okay. A game of Quidditch only ends when the snitch is caught, so it can go on for ages. I think the record is 3 months. They had to keep bringing on substitutes so the players could get some sleep. Well, that's it. Any questions? Can you imagine watching that game? I mean, you start to be afraid to go to the bathroom or to sleep in case you missed it. In case you missed that one moment. And who's the substitute seekers that could steal the glory? Did the original seeker that started the game catch the snitch? Or was it one of the reserve seekers? I want to know. Harry shook his head. He understood what he had to do, all right. It was doing it that was going to be the problem. Meh. Just go catch it. Just go catch a ball. Go see a ball and catch it. We won't practice with the snitch yet, because it's nighttime, said Wood, carefully shutting it inside the crate. It's too dark. Way too dark. You might lose it. Yeah. Because it's like at least 7:15. Now, it's probably taken 15 minutes to explain all that and stuff for them. Assuming they arrived at 7 and started talking at 7. So, it's definitely dark out. Way too dark. And so you're going to try out with a few of these golf balls? Ordinary golf balls? Muggle golf balls? I blame Dumbledore. Since Dumbledore is a fan of 10-pin bowling, I bet he's also a fan of golf. Or maybe, betcha, it's Snape. Think Snape golfs? I'm sure Gilderoy Lockhart would golf. Lockhart seems like a golfer, but he's not here yet. Professor Vector. Professor Vector golfs. Yep, that's the one. Yep, that's gotta be it. Professor Vector golfs and plays pool billiards. Definitely. And a few minutes later, he and Harry were up in the air, Wood throwing the golf balls as hard as he could in every direction for Harry to catch. Harry didn't miss a single one, despite it being dark and them being difficult to see, probably, unless the stadium has lights. I want to know what the stadium lightings are. And are they candles with mirrors behind them? How many candles to light the stadium? Because professional sports stadium lights are the millions of candles, right? Or at least thousands of candles. How is this? Magic, of course. It could be. Could be just magically lit. Just magically illuminated. It is just light for no reason, with no source. Just light. Oh, I guess we have to go with that. Harry didn't miss a single one, and Wood was delighted. After half an hour, night had really fallen, and they couldn't carry on. Yeah, okay, I guess. I would assume it would be much darker right now. I don't know, I guess I'll have to look up the darkness, how dark it is, or what time the sun sets in late October in northern Scotland. That Quidditch Cup will have our name on it this year, said Wood happily as they trudged back up to the castle. I wouldn't be surprised if you turned out to be better than Charlie Weasley. And he could have played for England if he hadn't gone off chasing dragons. Ah, good old Charlie. 7 years ago, Charlie was a darn good Quidditch player. Perhaps it was because he was now so busy with Quidditch. So busy, what with Quidditch practice 3 evenings a week on top of all his homework. But Harry couldn't hardly believe when he realized that he'd already been at Hogwarts for 2 months. So apparently it's been another couple weeks. So it's been another 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So I guess that was the beginning of October or late September that we had. Oh yeah, because the flying lessons was on the 21st of September, it said, I believe. So then that puts it a week later to get the broom. And then, okay, so that's still within September. So now we are entering October. Or, wait, 2 months from September the 1st would be November the 1st. So I guess must be, we're now on Halloween now, is what it must be. The castle felt more like home than Privet Drive ever had in the past 10 years that he had been there. Because now we are on the 10-year anniversary, I think. His lessons, too, were becoming more and more interesting now that they had mastered the basics. On Halloween morning, here we are. Here we are. The last morning that James Potter and Lily Evans ever saw. The last morning that Tom Riddle ever saw. At least for a while. At least saw properly. Tom Riddle's body. Saw those eyes. Those eyes, those eyes. The windows to the soul. Part of a poem I tried to write many years ago and kind of failed at. Anyways, on Halloween morning, they woke to this delicious smell of baking pumpkin wafting through the corridors. From the kitchens in the dungeons to the towers of Gryffindor. From the lowest dungeons to the highest towers. They smelt the pumpkin. Even better, Professor Flitwick announced in Charms that he thought they were ready to start making objects fly. Definitely something to do on Halloween. Something they'd all been dying to try. Literally dying to try. Since they'd seen him make Neville's toad zoom around the classroom. Poor Trevor. The incredible flying toad. Or did he have a blast? This is the biggest jump ever. One's giant leap for frog kind. One giant leap for frog kind, or toad kind. Professor Flitwick put the class into pairs to practice. We'll get to a point. Harry's partner was Seamus Finnegan, which was a relief because Neville had been trying to catch his eye. Which is a bummer because Neville needs to be part of this. Neville needs to be part of this quartet. It should not be a trio, it should be a quartet. Ron, however, was to be working with Hermione Granger, whom they had not spoken to in a month. At least a month, if not a month and a half. Because it's been that long now. It was hard to tell whether Ron or Hermione was angrier about this. Yep, she hadn't spoken to either of them since the day Harry's broomstick had arrived, a month ago. Now don't forget that nice wrist movement we've been practicing, squeaked Professor Flitwick, perched on top of his pile of books as usual. Swish and flick. Remember, swish and flick. And saying the magic words properly is very important too. Never forget Wizard Barufio, who said S instead of F, and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest. Okay. But this spell that they're to make objects fly, that I assume he's talking about because he doesn't mention it being a different spell that Barufio used, unless he's saying his name wrong and saying Barusio, and somehow Barusio is causing it. But Wingardium Leviosa has no F in it, and it does have an S. What spell are they talking about? The F, or the V, isn't an F. The V is a V. The S is an S. It's not Wingardium Leviosa. If this is backwards and says he said F instead of S, instead of S instead of F, it would make more sense to then, if he's saying F instead of S, ending up with a buffalo on his chest, saying Wingardium Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa would make sense for ending up with a buffalo on your chest. But he said S instead of F. This is I think this is one of the biggest mistakes. In the entire series. Other than Dora and Remus. But it should be, never forget the Wizard Wizard Barufio who said F instead of S, and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest. It was very difficult. Harry and Seamus swished and flicked with the feather, but they were supposed to be sending skyward. Oops, I forgot a word there. Harry and Seamus swished and flicked, but the feather they were supposed to be sending skyward just lay on the desktop. The Windows desktop. Or the Mac desktop? No, because technology doesn't work. Seamus got so impatient that he prodded it with his wand and set fire to it. Not blew it up. Just fire. It ignited. Probably a much, much smaller explosion where Seamus's face didn't go charcoal and his hair didn't get blown back and his eyebrows didn't get blown off. Have to wait for them to grow back. If anybody noticed. If anybody cared to notice. Ron, at the next table, or Harry, sorry, forgot a part. After the, sorry, itchiness. After the feathers caught fire, Harry had to put it out with his hat. The hats that they never wear in the movies, for obvious reasons, because you don't want shade on actors' eyes. You don't want that. That's bad for cinema. So we had no hats and an explosion versus a fire that actually has to be smothered out. Ron, at the next table, wasn't having much more luck. At least his wasn't blowing up. Wingardium Leviosa, he shouted. No. Wingardium Leviosa. Spelled the way it's supposed to be. He shouted, waving his long arms like a windmill. You're saying it wrong, Harry heard Hermione snap. It's Wingardium Leviosa. Make the gar nice and long. You do it then if you're so clever. She hasn't been? Why hasn't she been? If Seamus has gotten bored with it not working, and Ron's failing and flailing, and why hasn't she already tried? Hermione rolled up the sleeve of her gown. Because she hasn't tried yet. She hasn't done this yet. Flicked her wand and said, Wingardium Leviosa. And it's written exactly the same. It's here. There's no drawing out the gar in it or capitalizing it so we know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Their feather, I guess because they only have one between two people. So why did Ron go first? I guess because so he could fail. So he would have the chance to fail before Hermione obviously succeeded. Instead of ladies first. Their feather rose off the desk and hovered about 4 feet above their heads. Only 4 feet. Not flying all around the room. Oh, well done, cried Professor Flitwick. Everyone see here, Miss Granger's done it. The only one who's done it. The only one. Nobody else. Ron was in a very bad mood by the end of the class. No doubt. It's no wonder no one can stand her, he said to Harry as they pushed their way through into the crowded corridor. Not the courtyard, as is in the movie. She's a nightmare, honestly. And yet, she is your dream. She will be your dream come true, Ron. Someone knocked into Harry as they hurried past him. Not in the movie, she knocked into Ron. But it was Hermione. Harry caught a glimpse of her face, and was startled to see that she was in tears. I think she heard you. So? Said Ron, but he looked a bit uncomfortable. She must have noticed she hasn't got any friends. She hasn't made friends with Lavender or Pavarti. I think it was Pavarti is the one that's in Gryffindor, whereas Padma is in Ravenclaw. Not both in Gryffindor, like the movie put them both. Why does Hermione have not made friends with the other girls in the class? In her dorm room that she shares a bedroom with? Yes, because the other girls are just more superficial and more about makeup and boys rather than books. Spells and books. I don't know. Maybe. That's kind of the way the characters come off in the movies, at least. Hermione didn't turn up for the next class and wasn't seen all afternoon. Uh-oh. On their way down to the Great Hall for the Halloween feast. 10 years since the last meals of James and Lily Potter. Harry and Ron overheard Pavarti Patil telling her friend Lavender, it is Pavarti that is in Gryffindor and Padma is in Ravenclaw. That Hermione was crying in the girls' bathroom and wanted to be left alone. Ron looked still more awkward at this. But a moment later, they had entered the Great Hall, where the Halloween decorations put Hermione out of their minds. 1,000 live bats fluttered from the walls and ceilings, while 1,000 more swooped over the tables in low black clouds, making the candles and the pumpkins stutter. 2,000 bats. Everyone cover your plates and your heads. It's a good time to be wearing those hats. You don't want bat guano in your food or in your hair. Or are these magically created bats that used to be just rocks that McGonagall transfigured into bats? Right? Maybe that's it. Hagrid brought in a bucket of rocks from the lake, and McGonagall transformed all the rocks into bats. All the pebbles. I want to see that. I really want to see that. That would be cool. The feast appeared suddenly on the golden plates, as it had at the start of term banquet. But not at the other meals? How did food appear at the other meals? Was it carried up around? What? No. As it did every time. As it appeared every meal. Unless it's appearing before everybody's entering the dining hall. so that they're not seeing it appear magically, suddenly. Harry was just helping himself to a baked potato when Professor Quirrell came sprinting into the hall, his turban askew and terror on his face. Everyone stared as he reached Professor Dumbledore's chair, slumped against the table, and gasped, "Troll! In the dungeons! Thought you ought to know." He then sank to the floor in a dead faint. Not running in, and in the middle of the hall, stopping, screaming as he's entering the doors. He bursts open, screams, "Troll! Troll in the dungeon!" And then in the middle of the dining hall, halfway from the door to the staff table, he collapses and, "Thought you ought to know." And a major collapse, not just a sinking to the floor. It's much more dramatic. But this is another one of those said calmly moments. There was an uproar, which is not calm. It took several purple firecrackers exploding from the end of Professor Dumbledore's wand to bring silence. Which we didn't get in the movies. No firecrackers from Dumbledore's wand. Just Dumbledore yelling. Which I guess is another calm moment. Said calmly moment. "Prefix," he rumbled. This could be loud. Yep, not so quiet. "Lead your houses back to the dormitories immediately!" Exclamation mark. Not calmly. He is rumbling. Percy, however, was in his element. "Follow me. Stick together, first years. No need to fear the troll if you follow my orders. Stay close by me now. Make your..." What about the other prefix? Like, because he's a 5th year? And there's a 6th year prefix? I'm assuming, yeah, you're still prefix in 6th year. And then, or, because he's not head boy, right? No, he's not head boy right now. Or is he 6th year right now? But then if he's 6th year now, then why wasn't he prefect last year? Because Percy is not at Hogwarts during Prisoner of Azkaban. So this is Percy's 6th year, whereas next year Percy is head boy during Chamber of Secrets. Right? Humongous Big Head? Yeah. So this is Percy's 6th year, and they select prefix in 5th year. So Percy was not a prefect in his 5th year. Because he was bragging about it over the summer, that he's been made a prefect now in his 6th year. Maybe that's why he's so arrogant about it. Because he didn't get it last year, but whoever it was proved themselves unworthy And so it was switched to him. And then, but still, I guess head boy and head girl are one from the whole school. But then still, there are 7th year prefects that have more authority than Percy does. Or at least are supposed to be exercising more authority than Percy is. Make way, first years coming through. Excuse me, I'm a prefect. One of many. There's a girl prefect in his year, and then there's 2 more prefects older than him. And we don't get anything about them. How could a troll get in? Harry asked as they climbed the stairs. Don't ask me. They're supposed to be really stupid, said Ron. Maybe Peeves let it in as a joke, for a Halloween joke? Or maybe he who smelt it dealt it? That kind of a thing? Quirrell screaming it out about it, alerting everyone about it, raising the alarm as the one who brought it in. Yup. They passed different groups of people hurrying in different directions. As they were going up the stairs, as they jostled their way through a crowd of confused Hufflepuffs after they'd gone upstairs. When Hufflepuff is supposed to be on the ground floor. What were these Hufflepuffs doing during dinner on an upper floor? I don't know. Harry suddenly grabbed Ron's arms. I just thought, Hermione! What about her? She doesn't know about the troll. Ron bit his lip. Oh, all right. But Percy better not see us. Ducking down, they joined the Hufflepuffs going the other way. Down the stairs. Towards the dining hall where they all were before when Quirrell came running in. They slipped down a deserted side corridor and hurried off towards the girls' bathroom. I think on the 3rd floor? Is this still on the 3rd floor? I don't know. They had just turned the corner when they heard quick footsteps behind them. Percy! Hissed Ron, pulling Harry behind a large stone griffin. Peering around it, however, they saw not Percy, but Snape. He crossed the corridor and disappeared from view. What's he doing? Harry whispered. Why isn't he down in the dungeons with the rest of the teachers? Search me. Quietly as possible, they crept along the next corridor after Snape's fading footsteps. He's heading for the 3rd floor. Harry said, but Ron held up his hand. So they must be on the 2nd floor. That's where I'm guessing they are now. Can you smell something? Said Ron. Harry sniffed, and a foul stench reached his nostrils. A mixture of old socks, sweat, and the kind of public toilet that no one seems to clean. Because I thought about this the other day, unfortunately. Trolls don't use toilet paper. And then they heard it, a low grunting and the shuffling footfalls of gigantic feet. Ron pointed. At the end of the passage to the left, something huge was moving toward them. They shrank into the shadows and watched as it emerged into a patch of moonlight. It was a horrible sight. 12 feet tall. I think that's taller than Hagrid. Or as tall as Hagrid. And Hagrid is twice as tall as a man. It makes Hagrid 12 feet tall, approximately. So, yes, this troll is as big as Hagrid. And much smellier. Its skin was dull granite gray. Its great lumpy body like a boulder, with its small bald head perched on top like a coconut. It had short legs, thick as tree trunks, with flat horny feet. Thick as tree trunks. Are these birch trees or are these redwood trees? I'm gonna go willow. The smell coming from it was incredible because it's never used toilet paper or showered. Maybe occasionally taking a swim in the Black Lake. That makes me feel even worse for the giant squid than just all the sewage from all the bathrooms at Hogwarts Castle being flushed out into the lake. Because let's be real, that is happening. According to the Moaning Myrtle, who hangs out in the U-bin and occasionally gets flushed out into the lake. Which means all the Hogwarts sewage is going into the lake. The poor squid. And the kids go swimming in the lake. And poor Dennis Creevy fell out of the boat and into the lake. That is filled. Maybe that's why it's called the Black Lake. It's actually the Brown Lake. Ew. Ew. The troll stopped next to a doorway and peered inside. It waggled its long ears, making up its tiny mind. It was listening for what was going on inside that room. Listening and hearing Hermione's tears, sobs. Then slouched slowly into the room. The key's in the lock. Why? Why, Hagrid, did you leave this key in this lock? Why did you not keep this key? It seems strange to have the key there. Why? Who's going to lock a bathroom from the outside and just randomly leave it able to be locked like that when somebody is inside it? The key's in the lock, Harry muttered. We could lock it in. Good idea, said Ron nervously. They edged towards the open door, mouths dry, cottonmouth, praying the troll wasn't about to come out of it. With one great leap, Harry managed to grab the key, slam the door, and lock it. grab the key that was in the lock, slam the door, and lock. So that seems kind of weird. Yes! Flushed with their victory at having, in their minds, defeated the troll, or captured the troll, secured the troll, so that it is safe, and they can go and fetch a teacher to say, hey, we locked the troll into this room over here. And they could get 50 points for Gryffindor. Flushed with their victory, and sure that they're going to get 50 points, they started to run back up the passage to find a teacher. Even Snape would do at this point. But as they reached the corner, they heard something that made their hearts stop. Stop. They're dead. A high, petrified scream. Like petrified wood? The petrified tree that the troll's legs are the size of? And it came from the chamber they just chained up. Chained up. Oh no, said Ron, pale as the bloody Baron. More pale than I am. It's the girls' bathroom, Harry gasped. Hermione, they said together. It was the last thing they wanted to do, but what choice did they have? Even an enemy they would not wish that on. They could not let her die. They wouldn't. I don't think they would have let Draco be if they had realized it was Draco in there. Maybe if it was Crabbe and Goyle. Maybe. This was the last thing they wanted to do, but what choice did they have? Wheeling around, they sprinted back to the door and turned the key, fumbling in their panic. Harry pulled the door open, and they ran inside. Hermione Granger was shrinking like Alice against the opposite wall, looking as if she was about to faint. The troll was advancing on her, knocking the sinks off the wall as it went. Which is very much different than what the movie did. Very different than what the movie did, of course. Confuse it, Harry said desperately to Ron. Seizing a tap, he threw it as hard as he could against the wall. Must have been from one of the broken sinks. Because I imagine he didn't unscrew a tap out of one of the sinks. Yeah. And he threw it up against the wall. Why against the wall? Why not at it? The troll stopped a few feet from Hermione. It lumbered around, blinking stupidly to see what had made the noise. Its mean little eyes saw Harry. Okay, it makes sense to make noise, but no, it makes some noise and concussion, some blunt force trauma. It hesitated, then made for him instead, back across the bathroom, lifting its club as it went. Oi, pea-brain! I'm glad that is part of book and movie. Yelled Ron from the other side of the chamber, and he threw a metal pipe at it. Much smarter. The troll didn't seem to notice the pipe hitting its shoulder. I don't know. How would you not? Even as stupid as the troll is, how would it not? But it heard the yell and paused again, turning its ugly snout toward Ron instead. It was probably, like, right next to each other from Harry, giving Harry time to run around it I mean, unless they ran much further into like a really big bathroom. But any bathroom that I've ever been in, school bathroom, there's not much room for this all to be happening. Come on, run, run! Harry yelled at Hermione, trying to pull her toward the door, but she couldn't move. She was still flat against the wall, her mouth open with terror. The shouting and echoes seemed to be driving the troll berserk. It roared again and started toward Ron, who was nearest and had no way to escape. Harry then did something that was both very brave and very stupid. He stopped trying to get Hermione up, and he took a great running jump and managed to fasten his arms around the troll's neck from behind. The 12-foot tall troll. Of course, we know Harry can jump onto chimneys. So, okay, I'll buy it. If Harry can jump onto a roof and to a chimney at his Muggle school, I'll buy that he can jump onto the neck of this troll, this 12-foot tall troll. The troll couldn't feel Harry hanging there. Couldn't, because trolls apparently have no feelings in their skin. They have no sense of touch, apparently. But even a troll will notice when you stick a long bit of wood up its nose, an 11 3/4 inch stick of wood. And Harry's wand had still been in his hand when he jumped. When did Harry pull out his wand? When did Harry pull his wand out? He went from trying to entering, locking it, running back, opening the door, running in, grabbing a broken off tap, throwing it up against the wall, then running around to get Hermione, trying to pull her up, failing to do so because she was still too scared to move, and then turning and running and jumping onto the troll. When did he pull out his wand? At what point was his wand out of his pocket and into his hand? Because, Harry never cast the spell. But anyways, Harry's wand is somehow magically in his hand. And as Harry jumps up onto this 12-foot tall troll, the wand goes straight up one of the troll's nostrils. Howling in pain, the troll twisted and flailed its club, with Harry clinging on for dear life. Any second, the troll was going to rip him off or catch him a terrible blow with the club. Hermione had sunk to the floor in fright. Wasn't she already still on the floor and she wasn't able to get up from? Ron pulled out his own wand, because he had not, even though Harry had. Not knowing what he was going to do, he heard himself cry out the first spell that came into his head. Hermione's spell. Wingardium Leviosa! Yep, he uses Hermione's spell. Oh gosh, my itchy nose. Gotta trim my nose hairs properly. The club flew suddenly out of the troll's hand, rose high up into the air, turned slowly over. He did a miraculous job. Look here, everyone! Ron's done it! Mr. Weasley's done it! And done a better job than Miss Granger! With not a feather! Size matters not. Ooh, that was bad. Ooh.
Size matters not? Do you think size matters? Judge me by my size, do you? No. Where should you not? Something. Yes. Is it something like Yoda? Yes.
And the club dropped with a sickening crack onto its owner's head. The troll swayed on the spot and then fell flat on its face. Fell flat on its face with the wand up its nose. With a thud that made the whole room tremble. So definitely, the wand just went all the way up the troll's nose, through into the troll's brain, and this troll is now dead. And the wand is very, very bloody, not just full of bogeys. It has gray matter, not just green matter. Harry got to his feet because he'd been flung off. But we got no mention of him being flung off. Just... or wait, did we? Nope. Yeah, Harry was clinging on for dear life, and any second, the troll was going to rip him off or catch him in a terrible blow. But he didn't yet. The troll is not dangling Harry by Harry's ankles, and not swinging a club at Harry as Harry's trying to duck and doing some very impressive crunches up, bending up. Harry's got some abs to be able to do that. And yeah. So Harry is still hanging on the troll's neck when Ron causes the club to go into the air and drop on the troll's head. And then falls and Harry is thrown like a catapult. Harry got to his feet. He was shaking and out of breath. Ron was standing there with his wand still raised, staring at what he had done. Ron, with his wand still raised. That's important. It's important to know, to take note of that. It was Hermione who spoke first. Is it dead? Yeah, because the wand just went through its nose and into his cranial cavity. Assuming this troll has a brain, the wand just penetrated its brain. I don't think so, said Harry, and he disappeared. I think, therefore I am, though I ask if I think not, am I not? I think not, don't you think? I think it's just been knocked out. Renee Descartes and Lisa Turtle. Saved by the Bell. If you know, you know. If you don't know, sorry. He bent down, pulled his wand out of the troll's brain. No, nose. It was covered in what looked like lumpy gray glue. Gray matter. Ugh, troll boogers. No, troll brain. He wiped it on the troll's trousers. I think in the movie he wipes it on his own robes. much better to wipe it on the troll's trousers. They're probably pretty dirty, but better there than on your own robes, and the house elves would not want to look forward to cleaning that. Because the house elves do laundry, right? A sudden slamming and loud footsteps made the three of them look up. They hadn't realized what a racket they had been making, but of course, someone downstairs must have heard the crashes and the troll's roars. A moment later, Professor McGonagall had come bursting into the room, closely followed by Snape and Quirrell, with Quirrell bringing up the rear. Quirrell took one look at the troll, let out a faint whisper, and sat down on a toilet, clutching his heart. Oh, Quirrell, you could have killed a student. You were relieved that you didn't. Snape bent over the troll. Professor McGonagall was looking at Ron and Harry. Harry had never seen her look so angry in these 2 months that he had known her. Hopes of winning 50 points for Gryffindor faded quickly from Harry's mind. I think you still, if you went with, I think there's still a chance for actually getting proper points, maybe. If by the truth, anyways. What on earth were you thinking of? Said Professor McGonagall, with cold fury in her voice. Harry looked at Ron, who was still standing with his wand in the air. Like I said, that point was going to come in handy, or important. You're lucky you weren't killed. Why aren't you in your dormitories? Snape gave Harry a swift, piercing look. Harry looked at the floor, breaking eye contact. Because eye contact is usually important in legitimacy. Harry wished, Ron would put his wand down, because it's still up in the air, still holding it up. Then a small voice came out of the shadows that she had already stepped out of and away from previously. Professor McGonagall, please, Professor McGonagall, they were looking for me. Truth. Oh, so much talking. Miss Granger? Hermione had managed to get to her feet at last, which I believe she already did. Am I going back to this? Let's see. Well, it was Hermione who spoke first. Harry got to his feet, shaking. Okay, nope. No, Hermione has not gotten up yet. Yeah, okay, where was I? Hermione had managed to get to her feet at last. I went looking for the troll because I thought I could deal with it on my own. You know, because I've read all about them. Oh, Hermione. Why? Okay, so you didn't want to admit to your teachers that you were crying. You could have just said that you happened to be in the bathroom using it and hadn't made it down to the Great Hall, or had left the dining hall, Great Hall, whichever. Same thing, probably. And decided to use this bathroom on the second floor instead of the first floor. Because I hope There's some bathrooms close to the dining hall. I think. But yeah. So many things could have been said that could have prevented the loss of points and getting very few points. But Ron finally dropped his wand. Dropped it on the ground. Wand drop. Hermione Granger telling a downright lie to a teacher? This... Well, that's unfortunate. The microphone battery died with 11 minutes before the end of the reading. Or I continued talking for 11 minutes after it had stopped working to reach the end of the video. So, we're back a couple hours later trying to finish again. Oh, okay. So Hermione Granger, now I gotta try to remember everything that I talked about and discussed and mentioned in those 11 minutes. Okay, but so Hermione Granger telling an outright lie to a teacher. And they don't know Hermione very well, really. They spent 2, maybe 3 weeks talking to each other, and then a month and a half not talking to each other. They don't really know her very well at all. She could be a pathological liar. She could have grown up a pathological liar her entire childhood. We don't know. She could be an adventure seeker. Just putting on this show for the moment. Or trying to be better for a moment. Or make a good first impressions. But I bet Hermione is a liar constantly. No, probably not. But if they hadn't found me, I'd be dead now. Yep, and Quirrell would have been responsible for killing a kid. Harry stuck its wand up its nose, and Ron knocked it out with its own club, using the spell I taught him this morning. He paid attention to what I said. They didn't have time to come and fetch anyone. It was about to finish me off when they arrived. Harry and Ron tried to look as though this story wasn't new to them, because most of it was not new. Most of it is true, but little bits of it are not true. And those little bits that are not true cost them dearly. Well, in that case, said Professor McGonagall, staring at the three of them, Miss Granger, you foolish girl, how could you think of tackling a mountain troll on your own? Hermione hung her head. Harry was speechless. Hermione was the last person to do anything against the rules, or so they thought. And here she was, pretending she had, just to get them out of trouble. Because she's well practiced at this, actually. Of getting out of trouble, and seeming like she's a goody two-shoe, but not actually being. It's all a lie. Which makes a lot more sense later. And I got a little too much. That's the way I'll do this. There we go. How's that? Come on. Hey, get back on me. There we go. Okay. Because I got a bit more light shining in on me than I did earlier today at noon. Now that the sun is shining in. Trying to have enough light so that, but now I've got maybe a little too much. Anyways. Hermione was the last person to go against any moral thing, and there she was, pretending she had to get them out of trouble. It was as if Snape had started giving out sweets, which is a vision we all want of Alan Rickman giving candy. Alan Rickman was awesome. Miss Granger, 5 points will be taken from Gryffindor for this. Because you were depressed and hiding, said Professor McGonagall. I'm very disappointed in you for being depressed and hiding. You're in Gryffindor. Be brave. Who cares if you don't have any friends? Just be. Just continue to be, and eventually it will happen. Of course, maybe it wouldn't have. If you're not hurt at all, you'd better get off to Gryffindor Tower instead of the hospital wing. Because in the hospital wing, you could maybe give you something for the trauma that you just went through. And the fear of nearly dying. I think she needs something, some sort of pick-me-up, and probably not fire whiskey at 11. Well, definitely not the fire whiskey, but not even the butterbeer. Yeah. Not at this point. Not till third year do they get that. Are they allowed to go to Hogsmeade and try butterbeer? Not strong stuff, except for to a house elf or an 11-year-old. Don't give alcohol. Was at a tour in a tour group in Italy, and the restaurant in Italy served a 9-year-old girl on the tour wine. The daughter of a police officer of a Los Angeles cop was served wine at 9 years old in Italy. It's a different country. It's a different way of life. And I'm sure it was watered way down. But she drank quite a bit of it. Anyways, if you're not hurt at all, students are finishing their feasts in their houses because the house elves sent up all the food to the towers and to the dungeons and the ground floor. Because Hufflepuff's on the ground floor, Slytherin in the dungeons, near the kitchens, Ravenclaw and Gryffindor in the towers, because ravens and griffins fly. So they gotta be in towers. Hermione left. She left. She didn't walk back with them. No. Professor McGonagall turned to Harry and Ron. Well, I still say you were lucky. Not many first years could have taken on a fully grown mountain troll. You each win Gryffindor 5 points. Professor Dumbledore will be informed of this. You may go. Professor Dumbledore will be informed of the points? Or is this now a different topic of just the general events saying that Harry took on the troll? And Ron was there too. Good. Was Neville there? No, Neville. But Hermione was there. They saved Hermione. Oh, good. The trio. But I want Neville with them. We need to get Neville to be more of a part of this. Neville needs to become this, make it a quartet, not just a trio. Almost slid into giving Dumbledore a Russian accent there. Nope. Yeah. But yes. That's the way it should be. We need more Neville. But yes, Harry took on the troll, and Dumbledore be quite pleased. Quite pleased. Oh, excuse. All this talking. They hurried out of the chamber and didn't speak until they had climbed up 2 floors to the 4th floor. It was a relief to be away from the smell of the troll, quite apart from anything else. Oof. We should have gotten more than 10 points, Ron grumbled. 5, you mean? Once she's taken off Hermione's, which she didn't have to do. Could have been 50 points. Good of her to get us out of trouble like that. No, you guys weren't in trouble, really. Truth would not have been trouble. Mind you, we did save her. Yep, but she might not have needed saving if we hadn't locked the thing in with her, if you hadn't insulted her. They reached the portrait of the fat lady without Hermione. No Hermione with them. Nope. Pig snout, they said, and entered. The common room was packed and noisy. Everyone was eating the food that had been sent up by the house elves. Hermione, however, stood alone by the door, waiting for them. There was a very embarrassed pause. Then, none of them looking at each other, they all said thanks and hurried off to get plates. But from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other. And knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them. Because Ron did knock out the troll to save Hermione. That is how their relationship begins, as Ron saves her life. Ron is the hero, is Hermione's literal hero. Her knight in red armor, knight in red hair. But there, we did it. We finished it again. Finished the chapter in one day, which was a rarity for me, as you know if you've been watching this, and I hope you have. If you have not, what are you doing here after? And there's so many others. Granted, I know the audio and all the other ones are way worse than this. I've finally gotten things figured out, settled in a bit better. Still need a better microphone. And this one's good, but it's not the best. It's not the Rode, it's the Casio. Or is it Casio? What is it? No, Comica. It's a Comica, which is good, but cheaper still. But I finally got it at least dialed in, the equalizer and things, so it sounds a bit better. I hope you've appreciated the improvements that I've made through these 10 chapters, and which, again, the 10th chapter, the 10-year anniversary of Harry and Lily dying, of James and Lily dying, Voldemort being destroyed, and Harry being sent off to the Dursleys, which we get no mention of. And actually, Harry gets sent off 26 hours after this, 10 years before, 26 hours after, something like that. Because I assume it's like 10 o'clock, maybe 10 or maybe 8 o'clock when the troll happens. Probably, actually, because during dinner, which we established is like 5 to 6. Maybe because it's Halloween, it's a slightly later dinner, so we'll give it a 7 o'clock dinner. And so or they're staying up, they're at least in the Great Hall they still didn't finish. So, okay, so maybe a bit more than, so maybe 30 hours. whatever. 10 years since James and Lily died. That this night that we just had, that they are finishing off with eating in the Great Hall. In the first run through of this, when the microphone was dead, I went and looked even ahead into the next chapter, the first couple paragraphs, and it talks about the next several mornings. So there's absolutely no mention whatsoever of the anniversary. I think this is quite unfortunate that it's just completely glossed over, completely missed. But, oh well. It's a great chapter. It's a fun chapter. And we did it. We finished it all in one day. I plan on having this uploaded Halloween. Upload the Halloween chapter on Halloween. Got to figure out how to cut off the last bit of the second part 2 of this video, so I can splice in part 3, the regretful part 3. But you know, hit the like button, hit the comments, subscribe if you haven't already. Please engage. Let's tell some people about this channel, especially if you're on the reading channel, the actual WRD Reads channel, because this is going on my main channel and WRD Reads. So WRD and WRD Reads, both of these, or this is going on both of those. WRD Reads has the clean commentary, or the clean readings as well, and that includes up. I think I read through the next chapter already over there. So the commentaries are catching up. We are almost caught up on the commentaries with our clean readings. So, again, please hit like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much, and we will see you in the next chapter, which is Quidditch, chapter 11. Oh yeah. No. That's the Hogwarts theme. I want That's why I ended the last one, so I had to end it again that way.